Welcome to the ID10T podcast number 1061. Hey, how are you? I hope you're doing okay. I really do. I'm putting up a ton of podcasts now. This is the week of April 20th. And a lot of people are, they don't have traditional means of promoting stuff. So they're looking to podcasts to come on. And then also, I think, just looking for stuff to do. And so I'm just posting as many as are coming in. Just sort of thinking like, hey, they're there. If you want to listen to them, if you listen to one, great. If you listen to all of them, fantastic. If you listen to none of them, that's fine too. And you're not even going to hear this anyway. I guess my point is, whatever things might have been considered lazy and time wasty before, playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of Netflix or whatever, listening to a ton of podcasts. I'm basically just saying, don't feel bad or beat yourself up if you're doing that to eat up time or waste time during your quarantine, because I just think like, hey, whatever, do what you got to do, to get through the day and feel comfortable, and don't feel bad about that. Don't feel bad about consuming a bunch of stuff, and don't feel bad about wasting time if you need to. The only thing I would recommend is just make sure you're just staying on top of your mental health. I want you to be healthy. I want you to remember that you can still connect with people, and don't forget to do that. And just make sure that, I just want you to feel okay during this time. So that's it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for listening to this, if you are, and hang in there. We'll get through this. We really will. It's the ID10T Community Corkboard from folks like you, the ID10T community, like Connor, who writes, I went and made a pop culture website. In 2018, we launched crpwrites.com, a website that focuses on casual movie reviews, top 10 lists, film essays, and all things pop culture, all with cinephiles in mind. New content is posted every week with our independent team of writers who are always exploring new movies and television. Just a few years back, I wouldn't have been brave enough to launch a site online, let alone reach out to thank you for inspiring me to get out there. Connor, that is so nice. I really appreciate that. And I applaud you for taking the step and making it happen. You made a thing, and now it exists in the world. You manifested a thing. I'm very proud of you, Connor. Thank you for sharing. And to anyone else, be like Connor and make a thing. And you can then shoot us an email at events@id10t.com to let us know about that thing. And now let's talk about this episode. Oh, events@id10t.com, by the way, if you want to get your thing, events@id10t.com. So this episode is Thomas Middleditch. His performing partner, Ben Schwartz, was on a handful of weeks back because they have 3 episodes of Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix as of now. The 21st is the premiere date. This is going up on the 21st. Isn't it magical how things work out that way? But they recorded 3 of their live improv shows, and their shows are selling out. Like, they were selling out like huge theaters all over the country, but both just phenomenal performers, incredible improvisers, really nice guys, and just incredible talents. So this is Thomas Middleditch of Middleditch and Schwartz, and also Silicon Valley, which is a show that is probably relevant to your interests if you listen to this podcast. But this is audio only, but I'm doing all these with video conferencing software just so it's, because it's easier to talk when you can see people. And Thomas did this whole thing. He was basically just fully clothed in a dry bathtub, it just sort of huddled up in a bathtub the whole time. So that was it was just a fun, just not what I expected to. But honestly, I think he's onto something, because there is a like a weird knot in my shoulder from leaning on my desk to lean into the camera on my desktop computer, and a bathtub has the perfect amount of angle to support your back, so it's like you're sort of reclining but not fully. So I think maybe it's not a bad thing if you're having back problems through all this. Maybe just try the tub. Maybe try the tub as a place. Just put like a pillow or like a towel or something down so you're not like right on the porcelain. And there you go. Courtesy of Thomas Middleditch, which is the episode of ID10T number 1061, which begins now.
Initiating ID10T protocol.
happening?
Not much.
I know it's crazy. Have you heard about this like pandemic thing? Is that a thing that you've heard anything about?
No, not really. I'm just a man sitting in a jacuzzi tub without any water in it, eating.
Oh my God, you are in your bathroom.
So toast and lox, baby. That's all that's happening.
Is the lighting better in that room?
Well, I don't know. I was outside for a bunch of the stuff, and now it's too warm, and so this just feels like a fun place to do it and a good height for the camera.
Shit, that's a really good idea. I was just complaining to Katie, my producer, that ever since quarantine, I've developed this really bad kink in my right shoulder blade because I'm leaning forward all the time, either doing Zoom meetings or podcasts or playing Animal Crossing on the Switch. So I'm hunched over like this. Literally.
I'm trying to get myself a Switch, but they're sold out everywhere.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll try and get a Switch and then play some Animal Crossing. But yeah, I'm still a deep PC man. I'm a PC boy.
I just became Switch buds with Ben Schwartz. So I'm going to have to visit his Animal Crossing island, and
he doesn't have it.
He doesn't have Animal Crossing. Oh no, that's right. He's playing Mario Kart. That's what he's playing. Yeah, he just asked me if I'm playing Mario Kart, and I was like, he goes, "There was a championship the other day." I'm like, I'm knee deep in Animal Crossing right now. I've not.
But you could join for a championship. Come on, don't be a pussy. Come on, Chris.
No, God.
You can do it. Don't be like that.
Good. I don't know.
You'll do great.
Are you PC gaming? Are you playing games right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What are you playing?
Like it's a job.
It kind of is your job right now.
It is my job.
Your job is to stay home, and if that keeps you home, then that's kind of a job.
It not only keeps me home, but it keeps me up at night.
Which is fine, because what do you have to get up for?
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This podcast.
This is all just one long day. It's like Quarren's day. Like, it's just one long, all the days are the same.
It really is. It's really hard to differentiate the stuff, especially I'm playing this game on PC. It just came out. The trouble with PC games is every game that comes out, it's like early access, right? Mm-hmm. It's always early access. You're essentially just playing like a beta. So nothing's finished. Everything's in development. You get bored of the game by the time they finally release it. It's very frustrating.
Well, yeah. I mean, I am kind of torn in between. So like the example that I can give right now is Animal Crossing, because that's what I was playing. The old Animal Crossing game was on 3DS, and it was on a cartridge, and it was done. Like, you just played a finished game. And now the advantage with updates is that you get DLC, but then they can also go in and change things, or there are bugs that they kind of go in and have to fix, or, there were cool hacks in the game before where you could get stuff and they fixed those. And so I do wonder, as a culture of people who are like just fine buying things that aren't done yet, like we're always beta testing shit because nothing is ever done. And it's like, yeah, it's easy to blame the tech companies, but at the same time, as consumers, we demand new stuff constantly.
Yeah. It's come to the point where in video games, like, I'm so blown away when something actually is released and feels done. That's such an exception to the norm, especially in PC games, like indie game stuff. It's just like, it doesn't happen.
Well, I can't imagine what the competitive nature is like to have like a game company and sort of feel like, fuck, we have to get this out there. Like, we just have to get it out there.
Because that will generate the revenue to complete the game. Like, it's a business model that you have to have early access. Otherwise, you won't be able to make your game on this tiny budget.
It is shocking to me how, I mean, I am old enough to remember when growing up, I was just the beginning of like disposable technology culture, where it was like, like home game consoles or like VCRs. In a couple years, there's going to be a new model that's going to do new stuff. There's going to be this sort of like Moore's law curve. Now we just accept that nothing is permanent, and tech companies design things to not last. to burn out, and we accept that, and we actually get mad when there's not a new thing to buy. Like the consumerism shit is, I can't fully knock it because I do it. So, but it is weird that all of our stuff, you don't have to go back very far to look at things where people just thought they would buy like one telephone and then just have it forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I remember when our telephone had stored numbers. That was pretty exciting. When the home phone, you could store numbers in it and have a speed dial.
Yeah, you could store like 8 numbers, and basically it was like, you know, who was in your MySpace top 8, who made the speed dial.
It's pretty exciting, like for me, like as a kid, as like a teen, to like get one of the slots. I'm like, oh fuck, who's going to be in that slot?
And now our entire culture is just about filling favorite slots. Like it's
unlimited slots. How do you fill unlimited slot?
Unlimited slots. Nothing is special anymore. Which is why.
How do you? Yeah. Oh, is this a segue to the beginning of the episode?
Back to your special, which is why doing an improv comedy show is epic, because it really captures a moment. You know what I mean? Like it really makes something special in another way. Well, although your shows are effectively, I don't want to say disposable, but they're all unique. So
they're ethereal.
They're ethereal. They're all of the moment. So there's not any one, it's not even like you can really sit back on one, whereas my comedy special is really the culmination of like, this is what I've been working on for the last couple of years. Here it is. Yeah. Now I got to start this process over. Yours is like one and done, and then we just do a different one the next night.
It's weird in the sense that, like, well, this is the first time that Ben and I have even seen our comedy. You know, it's the first time we've filmed it and therefore watched it and like dissected it in that way. I've been like, interesting. But also because we do a different one every single time, it's strange in a sense that like these 3 are the ones that get held up as like the examples of the show on Netflix globally.
Right.
You know, they're not bad. They're great shows. We're very proud of them. But like so many of the times, especially since doing these specials, we've gone on off stage of just, you know, whatever, just a random tour show. And been like, man, that was like one of our top 10s. If only that had been filmed. But you can only increase the odds of capturing it. You can't willfully capture it.
This is why I've always had a problem with improv. And 20 years ago, when I was at the fork of, you know, taking groundlings classes, like, am I going to do?
Before you finish that, I thought you were going to, when you were at the fork, like that was a comedy club that I hadn't heard
of. That's the perfect name for a comedy club.
20 years ago was when I was up at the fork, man.
Yeah, when I was at the fork in Dubuque, it's just, it's this comedy club. It's the back of this diner.
You gotta understand, man. It was me, Berbiglia.
we were just like slugging it out back there, you know, performing for like 3 people. But those days at the fork, man, they made us. You know, they made us.
Yeah,
I was sort of the fork of my comedy in Crossroads. It was like, well, stand-up was always my passion. I do love riffing, so maybe I'll like improv. And then I realized, well, I can riff, but I'm not like a great traditional improviser. And also, I cannot help but second guess everything afterwards. Like, fuck, why didn't I say this? Why did I do this? Why didn't I do this? And that stress has always really kept me from exploring like structured improv as a thing, because I just beat myself up too much afterwards.
Well, but there's different, you're doing it, especially when you're working out, like when you're working out new material and you just want to like go in some way, and half the stuff gets written that night when you're on stage or whatever. That's still the same thing. It's improv, but without the guise of scene work and characters and maybe a little bit of plot, right? It's just like, here's your joke. Here's like the funny thing you want to say and the funny thing that you want to highlight, and let's pile on and like keep doing that kind of stuff. That's like really the only, I would say that's the big difference between improv with a capital I, is that like the medium of what you're trying to have, how you're trying to deliver this comedy is like scene work. And, you know, with Ben and I, it ends up being kind of a little play, like a whole story folds out, but then you could go to, I don't know, ASCAT or something else. And it's like, you're just watching these, scenes that might connect at the end, but they're kind of, they're each their own little, disconnected story. That's kind of the big difference, though, I think. But you're still improvising.
No, but you have to be comfortable with, like, I feel like with stand-up, there really is sort of like your special is sort of an expression of like a perfect model. Like, there is a goal of perfection, I think, with a stand-up set. Like, these are the most polished versions of jokes up to this point. And then it's sort of like, I guess it is the difference between like something that's done and then like a beta test, which is, with stand-up, it's like, these are perfectly formed and here they are. But I feel like with an improv show, you have to be comfortable with like, yeah, some parts were great. Some parts, there were ups and downs, but as a process, as a whole, it was perfect. It was fine.
I like where you're going with this, Chris. Stand up, when you shoot a stand-up comedy special, you're having a fully patched release day comedy.
Yes.
And when you're doing improv, it's early access.
But it might be, but you have to be comfortable with however it went. It's like, however it went, we didn't really, I guess maybe it's an issue of control. With stand-up, you really control it. With improv, you don't, because it's collaborative. It's a team effort. It's a relationship with the audience. It's all of these things. But then that also leads to a potentially incredibly magical special experience, because you all have this unique thing that's dead the second it's done. It's over.
Yeah. That sense of discovery is a big part of the joy of improv. And also, like, I think with more experienced improvisers, there's I don't know, I don't like calling them rules. I like calling them, I don't know, philosophies or whatever within improv, of like, there are no mistakes. And with seasoned improvisers, you really see that, because something weird or unexpected happens and a new person would think that's wrong and try to correct it,
Right.
But I think especially with, like, what I love about performing with Ben is like, we'll maybe stumble into something a bit weird or something, and we're like, great, no, this is part of it. And the whole like warts and all aspect of the improv show that's the fun part of it, is that it is a little messy. Is we are like, God, I love it. We are beta testing. Okay, good. Yes. Keep it going.
But it's a beta test with a concept. Like when you connect with like a comedy soulmate, and for me, it's probably my friend Mike Furman, where when we're on stage together, I just feel a comfort level of, no matter what I say, Mike's going to have like a thing that's going to activate it. Like, I feel perfectly comfortable with him on stage, because I know no matter what it is, he's going to knock it back in a way that we activate each other in a really magical way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think when it's improv, and somehow in this situation, how Ben and I have found ourselves doing 2-person improv for like bigger and bigger audiences, bigger in theaters, and now this, it requires a great deal of trust. Like the idea of like, I'm going to like do this initiation or do this character or just sort of like say this thing. And I know that no matter what I'll do, you'll make sense of it. You'll integrate it somehow. You won't be like, what are you doing? That won't happen. And even if it does, even if, like, what I love about performing with Ben is we treat the show, yes, like an improvised play, but also at the same time, like a kind of vaudeville duo. So like, if he makes a move or something that I kind of don't really understand, I'll be like, wait, where are you going with this? I'll literally just like ask him as Thomas, and he's definitely done that to me. He's like, are we sure we want to do this right now? Like, it's a little early for a wizard character, whatever. And that looseness is really fun, because like so much of improv, especially doing improv in Chicago, sometimes it's a bit too sacred for its own good. And I really like the looseness that Ben and I do.
Yeah, but that's what's great, is that I think you have to learn, you have to have that tight, unforgiving structure, and then understand it, so then you can break it, then you can kind of be who you are and break it. But
and I would also say that like I think definitely compared to some like constant regular stand-ups, my limited experience with stand-up is like to make sure you're kind of always highlighting what's funny about it. I think, man, if I compare like the approach to comedy with a lot of Chicago improvisers, they are like, it's very like for the art, and that's a very noble cause. But I'm just kind of like, no, people came here to laugh, man. Like, let's get after it here. Like, let's get there, you know?
Well, that is also sort of a, like, having kind of developed in the, I guess, you know, what you would call the alternative comedy scene in LA. When comedy gets really alternative, it's almost like, I feel like there's a little bit of, it's a little punk in the sense that you're trying to, like, you're kind of trying to push the audience away a little bit or lose them from time to time, or like be above them in a way where it's like, yeah, I don't fucking care if they get it or not. You know, this is for me. And then at a certain point you're like, well, yeah, maybe some of it should be for them. You know, like,
yeah.
You know, maybe it should be about, like, you I think you have to go through that period so that you can go, oh, you know what? I think this is just supposed to be fun and we can fuck around, and there's you know, like, yeah, there's a structure, but it should also, like, that shouldn't take precedence over what's fun about being in front of strangers and trying to pull them all together, you know, for this hour and a half that we're all together and have this, like, flash community experience.
Yes, totally. I think that thread of, like, I think people want to see that thread of punk, if you will, as you say, to that sort of, like, has the person say, like, I don't care if you get it or not, but make no mistake, you do care. Like, without the audience enjoying it, it's pointless.
Right.
It's pointless. Right. You might as well just do that show by yourself.
Well, and we might have to for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out
how many virtual comedy festivals have you been invited to?
Well, I dropped in. My friend Jackie Cation, who is a stand-up I adore, she's been doing, like, Zoom shows where she invites, like, you know, 300 people or whatever, because I think she's getting ready for a special. So she's been doing them in her room. And I dropped in on one and watched, and it actually was working really well in a way that I didn't think, you know, because stand-up.
What, can you see the people? Can you see other people, like?
Yeah, I did see, like, a couple people that were laughing. Like, they would pop in and laugh, because you do need that to a degree. Because, you know, I've been wondering, like, God, you know, is there a way to do like a short version of At Midnight, like via Zoom, where you're just, like, fucking around with topics with different comics? And at first I thought, well, comedy needs an audience. Like, you need an audience reaction. But then I thought, well, maybe you don't. Like, if you just cut away a little bit quicker, so you're not waiting for the audience response, which would feel like dead air if you hold for a laugh.
Yeah, it's like those Friends episodes without the laugh track. How strange they feel.
Or even, like, you know, like a show like Silicon Valley, which is single camera. You know, it's like single camera conquered comedy without having to have the audience tell you where to laugh, because they just figured out an editing process where the timing of it, again, comedy is timing. It doesn't necessarily need to be a certain thing. It's just like, well, this is a different presentation, so you just got to time it differently. So can we present stand-up or improv or, like, a comedy game show in a way that still works, because we figured out how to time the jokes to fit the medium?
I think I've always thought that, and this is, like, alienating in the sense that there's a technology and hardware barrier that you just, like, have to own a VR set. But I always thought, like, it would be really cool, like, even in a live show, right? You have an audience, but you tape off one seat in the middle to have a live feed of a 360 VR thing. So you could buy your virtual ticket and be next to real audience members, and everybody's in that nice seat. But A, not a lot of people have, like, VR sets. And then B, I think the technology of streaming at that level of fidelity, 3D audio, 3D video, is a little tricky. But that would be cool with audience members. And I wonder if you could just do it with nobody, and it's like you saying material directly, like one person in the audience, even though it could be 1,000. But at least you get that experience of, like, sitting in a room as opposed to sitting in a screen of the Zoom thing.
I wonder if you would just sound like a crazy person who like went up to someone in a library and was like, you know what's weird about Cheez-Its? You know? Like,
hey, buddy. Well, maybe you frame it like that. But there are certain, John Oliver's, like, his show fits in that sort of like delivering monologue kind of things. Like I miss the audience, but I've enjoyed his stuff without it.
yeah, I mean, funny people adapt, you know, like they just like.
Not me. I'm not doing anything. I'm just playing video games. I'm not adapting.
Well, I actually did the thing that you're talking about. I did for my last special because in 2016, Comedy Central was really big on VR. It was that period of time when like, you know, like E3 and you know, everything was like, oh, VR is the next big.
Everything was coming up Oculus.
Yes, and so we shot some VR for my special, and what I found is that watching it as an audience member, it was too much freedom, right? Like you really need someone to direct your attention, especially when you're watching comedy. Because when I watched the VR part of it, what I found is that I was busy looking around going, look at that guy's shoes. Oh, look at that thing. You know, like you just, it was too unfocused because the energy of the room kind of, when you're in the room, it sort of helps focus you. But when you're disconnected from the energy of it didn't bring me into the room the way that I think we had hoped that it would. It just sort of felt like it almost feels like you're a ghost and you're like, wow, no one else can see me, you know? Like, it didn't really feel like what I thought it would feel like. So
yeah, that's a lot of VR experience I've found. It's just like you're like putting it on, and you're just sort of being like, huh, neat, you know? That's all it is.
I imagine you guys probably had tour dates that you had to put off.
Yeah. And boy, I guess they're like much more indefinite than in a few months. Like I think big congregations are going to get kicked way down the road.
Well, I just saw today being April 16th, that, you know, Tom York moved a bunch of dates to September. And that made me weirdly feel hopeful because I feel like, oh, Tom York, he's on the cutting edge. He probably knows something that I don't know.
Tom York has a direct line to the CDC.
He knows what's up. But like all my dates come back in September, and even now I'm kind of going, I don't know. Or even if people are allowed to congregate, are they going to want to in September?
Yeah,
and I don't know.
I feel like festivals seem scarier than big theaters, and big theaters seem scarier than small theaters. So I think personally, if I being worried about it, I'd rather go up at like Largo than begin another big, huge tour and playing at multiple 1,000-seat theaters. Just because, like, for some reason, like the more people, the higher the odds.
Well, I wanted to pitch to Flanagan. Someone must have pitched this to him. It's like, hey, can we do like a socially distanced show from Largo where you stream a show from Largo? People pay to get in. Maybe it's a donation to charity or whatever, but it's a limited number of people. And you kind of do these, you know, these shows where there's no audience, but you're just sort of like, you know, they've been doing Thrilling Adventure Hour. Like they've been doing like live streams of Thrilling Adventure Hour, the Acker and Blacker. And so I feel like people are adapting and people are figuring it out, but I don't know, even in the situation where, okay, we'll let people back into theaters, but everyone's got to sit like 4 seats apart. Like comedy needs, like you need people, you need proximity, I think, because that's how an audience kind of comes together. When people are scattered around a live venue, it gets patchy and weird.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know the secret to like virtual comedy. I've certainly been asked to join in, and I'm just like, no, because I don't have an angle. And I certainly don't want to just be like on Zoom, like throwing out lame half-baked stuff.
Well, it's just like we're like comedians are kind of energy vampires. Like we need, we need like I would always say before we would tape an episode of At Midnight, I would say to the audience, like, you know what? I'm not saying fake laugh, but just like be engaged, because the more engaged you are, the more you react, the funnier we become, because comics feed off that energy. And we need, like, you sort of, like, you feel that thing in you that wakes up when people react, and then you get better because you're engaged because they're engaged.
Yeah. It's like, there are little bits of cocaine that make us think we're super hilarious.
I had never thought of it as like a coke binge, but you're totally right. Oh my God, it's fucking funny right now.
Yeah, dude, I'm fucking killing it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Cast.
But it's, I think your specials are coming out at a good time for people to, like, have the time to sit down and watch all of them. But it also must be frustrating because it's like, fuck, this is, like, we want to be out doing shows now that the special is out.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely would love to tour with the momentum of the special behind us, which would sort of come after next week, I suppose. But I will say, although it kind of feels like it might just be putting it on myself, but I feel like a bit guilty promoting anything during this thing. Yeah. But at the same time, like, if I think about what I'm experiencing, which is like a tremendous amount of boredom and just like, God, every day I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to do now? If Ben and I can somehow, to people just be like, check this out, it's funny. Maybe this might take some hours off the day and you might enjoy this. I think it's like, okay, that's my value as an entertainer ticked. So
yeah,
hopefully
I wouldn't feel bad about it. I wouldn't feel bad about promoting stuff because I don't think anyone would think you're saying like what we're doing is more important than what workers are doing. Like no one thinks that, but I do.
But seriously though. It is a bit.
We're being honest. We have this run about ass wiping that is, but I think that it is an important thing. It's not the most important thing, but it's not the least important thing either. Like it is, because this is the tool set that you have, and if you can, like you said, if you can distract people for a few hours and make them feel better and make them feel safer, make them feel connected because they got to laugh and be transported for a few hours, that is not nothing, like it's a good thing to be able to do. And I think when you are doing live shows again, you will find people coming up to you and going, I just want to say I was having like a super fucked up day in quarantine. I watched the article. I felt so much better. It made me better around my family. It made me feel like, honestly, I do think that it is a good thing. And I wouldn't feel bad about promoting something that y'all like worked hard on. Yeah,
no, that you have a good point. I think if there is going to be some kind of quarantine like we are in now, I feel happy that we had these in our back pocket ready to go.
Right.
So that we're like, here's something. Whereas like on the TV front, I just finished this like CBS pilot, and that's like, I'd be waiting kind of to find out if it got picked up anyway. And now I just like wait longer. And that's the only thing I can do is just wait longer.
Oh yeah.
Whereas this thing's like ready to go, and it just so happens it's happening.
Yeah. A lot of times actors are on sort of a career quarantine after they shoot a pilot. Like, hey, is this... Yeah. Can't do anything else.
I know. In that respect, I feel very fortunate in the sense that like nothing too much would be changed. I'd probably just be like taking more meetings, Hollywood hotshot. But like other than that, I'd still be waiting around. I feel fortunate that, like this is like independent contractor business, as it were. So like I got paid for my work and I'm not like freaking out about it. Or I feel so much empathy for the folks that are like, fuck man, I don't have a job. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Which is most people right now, like
yeah.
We're so incredibly lucky that even though we can't do everything that we normally do, like the live performance stuff, we can still make content, or we can still do podcasts, or we can still, like put stuff out there. And that's part of our job. And so it is very fortunate, but this business, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't think the business is ever about any one job. I think I always look at the goal as like creating momentum, Momentum sort of shields you from the ups and the downs. And now we're in a period where nothing has any momentum.
Right.
It's sort of like all the momentum, and the momentum will come back. It's not like there's not going to be entertainment anymore,
Yeah.
All of it'll change. Some of it'll go back to the way it used to be, but it is that sort of maddening thing of like, oh, well, how do you achieve a momentum when there's zero momentum? Because none of the engines are in place right now. No one knows how anything's going to shake out.
Yeah. And some things, like, I think, some things will fall to the wayside, much like, restaurants and bars and stuff are closing because like they can't generate the income to meet like the demands of rent. That's probably similar things in various, I don't know, networks that were on the cusp of trying to figure things out of like
right.
in this time when they can't produce anything and they're like, wait, we have no product,
Right.
What are they going to sell?
Yeah. I mean, I was reading something that, like, I hope this fact is right. If it's not right, I apologize. But I was pretty sure that I read that like Disney World laid off like 40,000 people. It was like some fucking, it was like the size of a town. And like,
would you say it's the size of a small world after all? Bye. I'm going to bed.
How do we not end the podcast? I don't know how you don't just like after that. Fuck yeah, that was it. I almost feel like we should just spike the ball and end the thing. But it's horrible right now. But I feel like but it's not like Disney World is going to close. Like eventually they will reopen, and hopefully they'll hire all those people back, right? Because they will need all those people to work again at some point.
And it would be better to get them back than try to hire all these other folks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember, like, I mean, kind of just recently, like, even just on a small scale, like UCB had to like let some people go, and everyone was up in arms about it. Well, not everyone, but some people were. And it's just like that business was having a hard time before the quarantine.
Right.
Like if there are companies, if there are entities and organizations that are like dancing on the wire, this is the thing that doesn't just poke, it shoves them off. And you can't get sort of like, I understand you can be sad, nervous, like what the hell is going to happen? Especially if you're among those folks that lose your employment, but to hold it against the entity, I feel feels a little bit misplaced.
Well, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard with big companies because I think part of it is like, oh, so you guys are only going to make $50 million this year, and $50 million this year. But when it comes to small businesses, like I know a lot of comedy clubs are really having a hard time right now because, like you said, they really do. It is a sort of like on the wire business, like they make enough each month and then a little bit more to stay open. But then not being open for a few months, like how far can they fall behind where it's like, I guess we're not a thing anymore, Yeah.
I have a buddy who owns like a nightclub bar here in LA. And he just told me, he's like flat out, I won't say the numbers, but he just told me like how much a month in rent that he owes.
Right.
And he's like, that cannot stay afloat for months on. I will go bankrupt. I will lose. It will be financial destitution. I was like, oh man, I don't even, because what do I know about running a club?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I saw that Swingers closed on Beverly.
Yeah.
Which was, that place is legendary, It's like, holy shit. But then I think, well, is that an opportunity for another person or company to kind of swoop in and save it? Like, is that an investment opportunity? I'd kind of hope maybe there needs to be some kind of thing that's like geographic, where you can look at a map of like your area and these are all the businesses that are struggling. And if you want to invest, like if you want to donate or invest, like you can sort of, help your community, your local businesses or whatever, like stay on their feet. Cause it can be hard to sort of figure out like, well, what's the state of everything? Like, is this cafe going to stay open? Is that coffee place? Are they going to have jobs? And if I can help, how do I, like there's a cafe that I would go to every morning and I hope they're all okay. I like all of those people, but if they're not, I wouldn't even know who to reach out to say like, hey, do you have like a GoFundMe or do you have like some way to like help the staff? I feel like if someone could pull all that together, it would be really helpful so that we could all sort of see like this is the.
Are you listening, Google? Are you listening? Well, I hope it's not. What I hope doesn't happen is this ends up being like some grand scythe. No, not scythe. That cuts down all the little guys, leaving only the big guys standing. And when it's time to rebuild, it's just like Monopoly. It's just like all the conglomerates and tycoons go.
I don't think that'll be the. I mean, I think there will be some of that for sure. But my hope and my, I do hope that a lot of, like, once people are allowed to have customers again, that a lot of these places will be able to sort of pick back up, even if they start over. I hope there is a strong sense of community that comes out of this. And when we're able to, it's like, oh, we're going to start supporting, maybe we'll support local businesses more than we would have before, because we know now that it's vital for our community to support these people and help. Because
don't it always seem to go, you don't know what you got till it's gone. You paved Paradise and put up a parking lot.
Paradise was there. Why a parking lot?
Come on, baby.
My favorite part about that song is that I can't figure out if the laugh she does at the end, if that was like a thing that she did while they were recording. They're like, that's cute, let's leave it in. Or if they're like, you know what this song really needs? She does that, like, she goes all the way up to that high note, that famous Joni Mitchell high note before, like, the cigarettes really took her down an octave.
Yeah.
But, Paradise, put up a parking. Like, I can't.
I like it. I think that doesn't happen enough in popular music. It happens in like indie music where they like leave it going for a bit and feel the fuddling and the guitars clanging around. But like in modern pop music, it is so polished. There's no rough around the edges element to anything.
So you're saying they shun the beta test is basically what? In
pop music, I think they are the beta. Early access is kryptonite to modern pop music.
But then going back to improv, this is the best thing about improv, and also some of the best moments that I've ever had in my stand-up sets were just the accidents, like the mistakes, like the things that go wrong that then you're able to. Because those are real moments, and those are human moments, and those are things that only happen in that specific instance, and that's essentially your entire show. Is like
that's what I hunt for those moments. If the show goes along utterly smoothly, and Ben and I, for example, know exactly where the other person's going, and it's this, that would feel so bland. It wouldn't be funny. It's the things, it's the curveballs and the whoopsies and it's the oddities that like, oh, whoa, that's something. Let's latch onto that and make that a way bigger thing than it needed to be.
Do you ever come away from a show and go, fuck, we should develop this into something more permanent, or this should be a show, or this should be a thing? Or is it just like, that was that, we're done, moving on?
Oh, like a particular show? I don't know. Ben and I have tried to sit down and write with each other, and it is a nightmare. I think he's like an incredibly good and accomplished writer, and I'm meddling, but like together it's I don't know, we can't settle on anything. I think this medium of like making it up is what we do best. But maybe if someone else wants to jot down the final draft of what we do, that's on them.
Maybe you need to have someone come in with a gun and go, all right, you have an hour. You work at a meat packing plant and you're a meter maid. Go. And then you have to like, maybe you're too accustomed to not overthinking it.
Yes. Hello, Hollywood. We've got the script. It's called Packers with a Z at the end.
But the all right, keep going.
It's not about the Green Bay Packers. It's meat. They're meat guys.
No, it's not about the Green Bay Packers. They're meat packers. And then the other person writes tickets, and then somehow through a series of mishaps, they become unlikely friends. And then
then the cartel's after them, and it's whoa.
The meat cartel, you understand, not the drug cartel. There's a meat cartel. But now there actually might be a meat cartel.
Oh yeah,
might actually be.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a Reddit article somewhere about the meat cartel.
Oh, I'm. There's no doubt in my mind. But that idea of impermanence, and also that idea of sort of like being in the moment and being in the pure present, is it's an amazing way to be able to live your life. Are you able to live your life that way, or do you overthink everything when you're not on stage?
I try to have elements of spontaneity and in the momentness, for sure. But I do often spin my wheels about. I find myself living in the future a lot and also living in the past. Like I spin my wheels about like what needs to happen in order for the things I want to occur. And then also like, boy, those things, both big and small, random and whatever that like happened. Boy, I should spend a lot of time thinking about that and regretting that. That should definitely keep me up for hours at night, just being like, oh yeah, why did I say that to that person? Like whatever.
That's a really funny way to sort of take some of the sting out of that stuff, is when you do that to yourself, to contextualize it that way. Boy, I should really focus on saying that thing to the guy at that party, and he must have hated me because I really need to think about this more. Like, that's a fun way to contextualize it, because it just, when you say it that way, it's like, oh yeah, this is dumb. Why am I wasting my time on this?
Yeah, my brain seems to like that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I do like a little bit in the moment. I find like for me, because I got a pretty active gerbil on the hamster wheel, it's why I like escapism, like video games, or even like when I got my pilot's license, and you have to like kind of go to school again. Like you got to study and learn it, and that like offers some focus and some detachment than just being like, I got to get the thing. Why did I do that? It's just like, fuck. Shut up.
We have a puppy right now, and when we don't walk him and keep him super engaged and burn out his energy, he's a fucking tornado.
Yeah.
He just needs stimulation, and so we're just constantly trying to stimulate his developing brain so that he doesn't go crazy, because dogs will go crazy, and some dogs will go crazy if they don't have the right amount of stimulation to kind of burn that hamster wheel in their brain.
Yeah.
You have any pets?
2 dogs. I just got this like toy for one. It's like a puzzle.
Yep.
You put the food in it kind of knocks it around, and then the food comes out. And he like batted it around and then just didn't care afterwards. And I was like, God damn it. Like, aren't you bored? I can see you just lying around. You don't want to like try the puzzle out a little bit more? You don't.
I don't know why
There's food in there.
I don't know why I got this image of your dog solving the puzzle, and then the walls split open and these like Cenobites from Hellraiser come in and like an S&M.
So you passed the test. You are the chosen one.
You are the goodest boy.
Now come down and rain hell with us forevermore.
It's just like these dogs in leather chains and fucking spikes in their face.
And I'm just like, God, who'd have thought Petco would have a gateway to hell? Jesus, Carol Baskins.
There's an Instagram link sketch in there somewhere. Some joke somewhere.
Come on, baby.
I feel like we're also in the age of like, nothing is too stupid. Like everyone just wants distraction right now. So no, like all ideas, like people are so forgiving because there's the context now of like, yeah, I know this is dumb, but I was bored and I don't know what else to do with my time. And people are like, yeah, we get it. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm all about, I got a friend who's very tapped into like good TikTok videos.
Yeah.
I'm all about getting that supply of just like parents being parents and like teen skits that are very memey and TikTok-y that are like pretty funny. I just like, give me a stupid 10-second glimpse into something human and silly. I'm all about it.
I was so anti-TikTok even like a month ago. I even think I said on Spade's show, like, yeah, I feel like I'm crashing a high school party as like an old guy.
Yeah, no, it is a bit young.
And so I feel very old. But now that like people, like so many other people have embraced TikTok just as a thing to do, now I'm kind of backpedaling and like, maybe I should be making videos on there because it's like, now's the time if I was ever going to do it. And I think people would understand It's like,
Yeah.
you need to make stuff if you want.
I know. I just like, I think about like the work that I dread every time I feel like I've got to like increase my social media presence on Instagram, because that's the only thing I have. It's like, God, do I really want to do another one? Like, I already hate this one. do I have it in me for another?
Do I need to learn another platform's like sub language and like, this has to end with a joke, and then it's got to be this, and then if you got to lip sync in this part, and then just that discovery process. Yeah, that part of it just that really does sort of make me feel like, hey, your old dad can make a TikTok, right? You know, like I just don't know. But then I have so many friends who are comedians who are fucking killing it right now, just like making great stuff. And I just wonder, like, I think your brain just has to work in a different way where you just don't. It's like, yeah, it's work, but it's worth it. And to me, it just feels like, am I going to make that much effort for a thing that I like to learn a whole new language, basically?
Yeah. I've also developed, and it didn't start out this way, but I've developed a legitimate, like, I guess, posting anxiety, in which I will put something on Instagram that I think is maybe like funny or whatever, and then I'm immediately like, oh my god, is it not? It's probably not that funny. I should take this down, or like, yeah, I do actually, because I just have anxiety about it all. I don't know. As the years have gone by, I've just developed a scaredness of media in general. Like it can askew things in such bizarre ways that I'm just like, I don't think I trust it fully.
Well, also, like, if you whiff a joke at a live show, there's another joke that's right around the corner. Like, the movement of it, it's just like a river. It just washes right past. But if you whiff a joke on social media, there it is. A snapshot of failure that people can just poke holes in, or, you know, like I had this stupid idea for a thing that I wanted to post from. Did you watch Tiger King?
Bits and pieces. I actually listened to the podcast like a year ago, so I know it. Yeah.
You know, so I had a friend of mine who does like a lot of pop culture, and I was like, oh, make a thing where He-Man is like Joe Exotic with the mullet, and he's holding up Cringer as a cub, and then She-Ra is like taking a selfie of herself holding up and I made it, and I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? This almost feels like I'm somehow like it was so sad what was happening with these cubs that I don't want people to take it that way. Like, oh, you think it's funny that someone was exploiting these poor creatures? And so I just never posted it, because I just thought, oh, this isn't, if this lands in a weird way, it's going to be like, people are going to be like, fuck you. I'm like, no. I was just trying to make it dumb. I swear to God, I wasn't making fun of this one thing. I just thought He-Man as Tiger King would be really funny. I'm so sorry. Like, there's so many opportunities to like bum people out and whiff a joke on social media that it just doesn't, like, a lot of it's just not worth it. Like, was it worth it for the indulgent like response that I was trying to get? Is it worth it?
Yeah, no, I know. Especially when we live in a world where everyone on Twitter, for example, is perfect and always right. And every time you show fallacy, they're like, see? You're like, but wait, no, what are you talking about?
But you only ever see the hole pokers is the thing. Like, there's a handful of hole pokers, but they're the ones that you're going to see because they're the most active. And, you know, anger.
And they hurt the most, Chris. They
really do hurt the most. And then especially for a joke, it just sucks because you're like, God, this wasn't worth it. Like, it just wasn't. No. It just wasn't worth it. I didn't need to do this. Is this, the special is out April 21st, right?
Correct.
And there are 3 of them?
There are 3, all completely different, all completely made up on the spot.
And you're done with Silicon Valley.
Done with Silicon Valley, and I had shot a CBS pilot, like a multicam sitcom. So that could be a new world in which I embark on if that show gets picked up. And then there's some animation. There's a show on Hulu. Justin Roiland is doing a new show called Solar Opposites, and I'm lucky enough to voice a character on that.
Fantastic. When does that come out?
May something. Oh, no.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know Rick and Morty's coming back in May, too. Now that's a guy who I feel like he's going to be fine because all the stuff that he makes, you can make remotely.
Yeah.
All the animators, all the writers, everyone can work remotely. He can record voices. Everyone can record voices at their home. Like it's
a golden era of animation.
Yeah, it is a great time to be in animation right now. A fucking great time. I also think it's interesting with Silicon Valley. What's happened with series now is when they know a show is finishing and they'll go like the final season.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's kind of a blessing in that because like you get to wrap up a story in the way that like in traditional media, it's like, hey, we're going to get picked up. I don't know. Was last season the last season? Maybe. Who knows? I have no idea. Some shows just end like open, which sucks for the audience.
Yeah, they fizzle out.
Did you feel like you kind of got to map out the arc the way that you wanted to?
Oh, yeah. I actually felt very satiated with how that show ended. I think it was perfectly the show of the success is mixed with failure. Every time they hold their hands up to celebrate, someone punches them in the dick.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's always bittersweet. And I really liked that show, the way that show ended. And I also like that there's a bit of a cliffhanger, Mike and Alec, playfully bat around the idea of like, maybe we'll come back some years later and do like, I don't know, a bonus thing. And I'm game. I think that'd be super fun.
And so is your plan now like, is CBS's plan, like, is everything just all pickups and everything are on hold? Like no one has any idea. They're just kind of extending it out until.
I would assume so. Like this is a Chuck Lorre show. So I'd say like, who knows? Knock on wood. Like I think the odds are fairly good, but like, since no one knows even when it's possible to shoot again, I think they're holding off on ordering anything. But when it sort of feels like you're allowed to go to a place of work for a non-essential, then yeah, we might, I don't know, hopefully, or maybe not. Maybe I'll be disappointed and then back to the drawing board.
Were you guys able to shoot with an audience or does it not?
Yeah, we were like one of the last ones with an audience.
Oh my God, that's great. I had a friend who did a pilot at another network and they pulled the audience last minute. So they just did their pilot to nobody. He was like, yeah, it was a little weird.
I've only done one other multicam and it was a no audience multicam. It felt so awkward. It's just doing these things, holding for laughs. It's so weird. It's awful. And you got the crew kind of like, like trying to help, it's like yeah, whatever. I'm trying to think of the shows that do that.
Oh, well, there are shows that basically just add the canned laughter, but I just don't know how you would, I just don't know. You need something, like, again, you need something to feed off of, but at least with Silicon Valley, like with single camera stuff, you can get the rhythm of it, but a sitcom is such a specific rhythm that is based on holding for laughs. Like you can't,
it's like it's a play.
There's no other way to do it. That's what it is.
You're literally in a proscenium, like performing kind of like 3/4, like you need that stuff. And you know what? Like that was the first time I'd seen like a multicam audience get warmed up. And I guess we got like one of the guys, he kept the crowd work going for like 3.5 hours. He was insane. He got people screaming. And I was just like, you must be so stoked. You just came from Universal Studios or something and you're here, you're in Hollywood. You must be so excited to the point where if this guy's like, hey, you scream, you're like, ah, you're shredding your voice. You must be so pumped. And that's
warm-up is like
good energy. That's the type of energy that you get to do your show in front of, as opposed to nothing. You get people who are like, I want to be here. It's so crazy.
Warm-up is the most, I think, probably one of the hardest jobs in comedy and one of the most underappreciated jobs in comedy because you can tell a difference when an audience is not warmed up, and it is necessary. Like our first month of shows on At Midnight, there was no warm-up, and it always felt harder to get the audience going a little bit. And as a result, the comedians were going real blue real fast because I think they were just trying to get a reaction out of the audience.
Right.
I was like, maybe we need the audience warmed up so that everyone's more comfortable. and then you have a good, you have a good warm up. In our case, it was Brody Stevens, whom I miss, and he warmed up the audience in such a beautiful way, and it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so when you get one of those guys that whips them up into a frenzy, it's like, I hope you're paying this guy. You should be paying this guy as much as you're paying the cast, because the show does not work without what this guy is doing with the audience.
Yeah. And it was like, he had all these tricks. Like he's like got these kind of games to play and stuff. Cause it's not just like warming up for like 10 minutes and then like, all right, here's the show. He's like every time in between takes, it's this. It was like 3.5 hours of constant crowd work. I was blown away. And he was like, it was a little cheesy, but it was like fun. It got everybody like going. I was very impressed.
So in general, as we're wrapping this up, you feel okay? Like, do you feel, is it sort of like a day-to-day thing? Like, yeah, I feel weird. I don't know. Just for people who are fans of yours, who feel connected to you, what are you doing besides, is there anything else you're doing besides video games to sort of just like, stay okay?
I'm going on walks.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to like make sure I get out of the house and like breathe air and remain socially distant.
Yes.
And I'm doing like drawing and like chatting with people on friends. On Zoom. I have managed to have like a really good D&D group, and we're still keeping the campaign going.
Fantastic.
Just like little bits to keep entertained. But yeah, to be honest, like it's boring. It's a lot. It's not the funnest. I feel like it's kind of like the lamest vacation you can have. Sweet, I got 3 months off. Staying in.
I got 3 months off, but I can't go anywhere, do anything. All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And feel tremendous anxiety when I even shop for groceries. So yeah, I'm just like, it's pretty mild. I'm watching like shows that I should have watched. I finally watched The Mandalorian. Like that should have been something I've watched ages ago, but
yeah. Yeah, it is. We are playing a lot of catch up with stuff. I mean, but I still feel like every night we sit down and we're like, what are we going to watch tonight? And it still feels like there's almost too much choice.
I know.
Too much choice is almost no choice, because you're just overwhelmed. Like, I don't know which one of these auto trailers on Netflix is a winner. I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, last night I saw Cats.
And
look, I realize the collective consciousness really loves to like shit on Cats, right? Like, wow, the CG, it all looks fucking weird. I don't think it looks weird. I kind of like the anthropomorphic thing. I like the weird sets are big. Everything's exaggerated. We're living in a fantasy world. I thought the choreography was great. I thought everybody acting-wise did a great job. I think the songs are fun. I think the problem with Cats, the movie, is not the movie. It's Cats, the musical. It makes no fucking sense. So if you're mad at Cats, the movie, you're just mad at Andrew Lloyd Webber. The movie, it needed a few rewrites. It needed some scenes, some context. Like, what the fuck does this mean? You're ascending in the sky at the fucking Jellicle ball. It needed a rewrite, but the actual execution of the film I thought was pretty fun. It was a fantasy world.
That's a perfect example. By the way, Cats, like, listen, like, The Simpsons was making fun of Cats like 25 years ago for being this like ridiculous, jazz cat, But that's a perfect example of something that was really meant to be experienced in person. Just the fucking weirdness of it in person, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's easy to look from the outside and go, what the fuck? Why are these people why do they have like cat manes and tails? But if you were there, I don't know. I can imagine as a live show experience, it was probably weird and kind of silly and fun,
Yeah. But it's also written, I think in the 80s or something, the 70s, 80s. And it's like, it feels of the time. Like, it feels like it was written then. Like, just the very convoluted dialogue, the sort of like prototype fantasy stuff is just like, oh my God, like this just needed to be updated a little bit.
It's easy to shit on the ridiculousness of it, but maybe it was a show that was born by, maybe there were drugs involved. If it, if it was written during that period of time. Maybe there was a little bit of drug.
It's a little bit like Les Mis in the sense that like there's not a lot of scenes in between. He's just right onto the next song. And it's like what the musical is just like, here's this cat. Okay, he does this. And then there's this cat. Okay, she does this. And you're just learning about different cats. And it's like, it sort of felt like an ode to, if you love cats and you can't get enough of cats, and you're cats, and you got like cat sweaters, and this is, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Mitzi. She's this kind of cat. Oh yeah, she's the tabby cat. And you're just like a cat obsessed person. Cats is your fucking favorite thing in the world. But to everybody else, it's just like, okay, we get it. Chill.
Basically, your point of view is don't fuck with Cats, the musical.
Yeah. I think Cats the movie was cool, but Cats the musical's not. It needs work.
It needs work.
It does.
Send some notes after like 30 years or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do another one, and this time I'll be in it.
Cats 2, TOO.
Yeah. Look who's catting now.
I don't. I feel like it is probably uncomfortable for you to sit in your bathtub any longer, so I'll let you go. But if I don't know, like if you're ever bored, or if you need anything, or if you, I don't know, just reach out. We're all here. I'm here. You know, I don't know. I just always want to offer that to people that I know. Like, someone said something really interesting to me yesterday, where they go, you know, if you think about someone, if you're wondering about someone, just reach out to them. Now's the time where you just reach out to them, or you talk to people that you don't normally talk to connect. You know, like just to stay connected or whatever. But you know, I don't know. I'm around if you need anything. If you need any. You need to distract yourself for a half hour, you know, or anything. Just let me know.
Thank you, sweetie boy. Same here.
You are a kind, hilarious man, and I'm very excited to see your special. And,
thanks, man. I hope you like it.
It's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm still able to watch improv as like as an audience member and not as a comedian. Where I go, oh, I see what they did there. Like, I genuinely. I'm a laugher, and I like to watch, and I like to be entertained.
Oh, cool! It hasn't gotten to you yet.
No, I haven't been burned by it yet. But again, that's still like improv to me is the other side of the fence. So
right? Yeah.
Like I still am that person who's like, how do they do that? Like I still have wonder and marvel at it.
Yes.
All right, the end. Bye. Meow.
ID10T scanning complete. Enjoy your burrito.